Bear Grylls made survival look like it was the most important part. The storm would roll in. You're lost. You're cold. And now you have to figure it out. And honestly, that makes great television. But I also think it trained a lot of us to look at the wrong moment. Because on real backpacking trips, most problems don't start out as emergencies. They start earlier. Maybe with a weather check you skipped, a wrong turn you didn't stop to question, or a tired decision that you made later than you should have. So the better question is not always, could I have survived this? Sometimes the better question is, what did I miss before this became a problem? Because if you've ever had a hike start to feel sketchy, there's a good chance that it started off with something smaller than you actually remember. And guys, this is not gonna really be a Bear Grylls takedown. Just like a lot of you guys, I really enjoyed watching those shows. They were fun to watch. And I think they got a lot of people interested in the outdoors. But survival TV and backpacking are not really trying to do the same thing. Survival TV equals crisis response. Backpacking equals crisis prevention. Survival TV gets interesting when everything goes wrong. Backpacking is usually safest when it never gets that interesting in the first place. And I think that's the part a lot of newer backpackers can miss. Not because survival skills are bad. They're not. They do matter. But if survival skills are the first time that you start to pay attention, you may already be a little late. Most of the time, the real safety decision happens before the dramatic part. So let's back the story up a little bit, because I think this is where most trail problems actually begin. Most problems on trail don't just magically appear. They build. And a lot of times they build through little decisions that don't feel like a big deal when you're making. Maybe you see clouds building, but you tell yourself, it'll probably pass soon. Or you get to a trail junction and something feels a little off, but stopping feels kind of annoying, and so you keep pushing forward. Or you pass a water source because you don't really feel like filtering yet. Then when you get to the next one, you find out that it's dry. Or maybe you start getting tired, but you tell yourself, camp's not really that far. So you keep pushing forward. None of those moments feel dramatic when they happen. That's why they're easy to ignore. But those are often the moments where the trip starts to change. Not when you're already in trouble, but earlier, when the fix for the problem was still pretty small. And that's the part that survival TV typically skips, because it doesn't look like the story yet. This is the part that would never make the episode. Stopping to check your map, putting on a layer before you're actually cold, filtering water before you're thirsty, turning around before the storm is right on top of you. That stuff doesn't look exciting, but on a real backpacking trip, it may be the most important part of the whole day. Warning signs lead to small decisions. Small decisions lead to bigger problems. And bigger problems lead to crisis. On TV, the interesting question is usually, how does he get out of this? But on trail, I think the better question typically is, why did it get this far? Because by the time something feels like survival, there may have already been several moments where you had a better option. Maybe you saw the weather changing. Maybe you felt your pace starting to fall apart. Maybe you were totally sure about the trail. Maybe the plan was starting to feel forced, but you didn't want to say it out loud. And I think that's the part that matters for normal backpackers. Most of us aren't going into the backcountry to prove how tough we are. We're just trying to have a good, safe trip. One where the biggest story is the trail. Hopefully not the rescue. And once you see all this come together, you start noticing something. The safest backpackers are not always the toughest ones. A lot of times they're just the ones willing to stop early. A lot of real backpacking skills don't look impressive on camera. It looks like slowing down before you're completely cooked, or maybe eating before you're starving, checking the map before you're lost, filtering water before you're desperate, or even adding a layer before you're shivering. And sometimes it looks like saying, this plan is starting to feel a little forced. And that one can be hard, because changing the plan sometimes can feel like failure. Turning around can feel like failure. Or even stopping early can feel like failure. But in my experience, one of the most underrated skills in backpacking is just being honest early. Before you're exhausted, before you're cold, before you're lost, or before your judgment starts getting worse. A lot of the backpacking decisions that I've made on trail over the years would probably look pretty boring on camera. But that's part of the point. They kept the trip normal. And a lot of times they kept a small problem small. And sometimes to me, That's the real win. But I will be fair here. Survival shows do get some things right. I just think that those skills belong in the right place. Because survival shows do show some useful things. Staying calm matters. Problem solving matters. Adapting when the plan changes matters. And not really quitting matters. So I'm not really saying that Bear Grylls didn't show some real skills. I'm saying that those skills typically belong later in the movie. One would hope that they're backup skills, and not necessarily part of the main plan. The better backpacking goal is to make enough good decisions that you don't have to live in that kind of pressure for very long. And that's the wrong moment that survival shows have trained us to pay attention to. They make the story feel like it starts when the crisis begins. But in backpacking, the real story typically starts earlier, when you still have options, when the decision is still calm, when nothing looks dramatic. Real backpacking safety is making the calm decision early, so you don't have to make the desperate decision later. So when you're actually on trail, the goal is not actually to become paranoid. It's just to pause, while the fix might still be small. For me, that can be real simple. Just stop, check the situation, see what fix you can make, and then continue. You don't need to panic. You don't need to overreact. Just pause earlier. When something feels slightly off, just stop long enough to notice it. Maybe the sky's changing. Maybe your pace is off. Maybe your water's low. Maybe you're colder than you actually want to admit. Or maybe you're at a junction thinking, I think this might be the right way. And honestly, when you start thinking pretty sure, that's normally a good time to stop. Stop and check the map. Stop and check the weather. Stop and check your water. Check how tired you actually are. And be honest about what you find. Because the trail doesn't really care about the story you're trying to tell yourself. It responds to the decisions that you make. So fix the small things while they're still small. Put on a layer, filter the water, eat the snack, slow down, turn around, or just adjust the plan. Most of the time the trail gives you a chance to fix the problem before it becomes a big one. The trick is being humble enough to take that chance. Maybe you keep going. Maybe you change the plan. Or maybe you turn around. But now you're moving from a calmer place, instead of waiting until the trail forces the decision for you. And underneath all of this is one bigger rule. Protect the person, not the plan. The plan should be flexible. Your safety is not. The mileage can be flexible. The campsite can be flexible. The route can be flexible. But your judgment, your warmth, your hydration, and your ability to get home safely, those are not things I want to gamble with just because the plan sounded good that morning. And when you start thinking that way, backpacking starts to be less about proving that you're tough and more about just staying aware. You don't need to be Bear Grylls to backpack safely. You don't need to turn every trip into a survival story. And honestly, most of the time you probably don't want to. The goal is not to have some dramatic story about how everything went wrong and you somehow made it out. The goal is to notice the small things early enough that the trip stays normal. Maybe that means checking the map one more time. Maybe it means putting on that puffy before it's needed. And maybe it means saying that this plan is starting to feel a little forced. I know that's not flashy, but it works. And if you're newer to backpacking, I think that's good news. You don't have to become a survival expert before you belong out here. You can start by learning how to notice small things early. And you can practice that on every hunt. So yes, survival skills matter. But the real backpacking skill is often quieter than that. It's being calm enough, honest enough, and humble enough to make the small decisions before it becomes a big one. And if you want to keep building that kind of trail judgment, then check out this video here, because I'm sure the algorithm knows exactly what you need to see next. Because most of the time staying out here is not about being dramatic. It's just about paying attention early. As always, guys, I hope this was useful to you. And hopefully, I see you out on the trail.